Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we have our setup here. It's approximately in the correct orientation. I say approximately. We are definitely going to be a little bit concerned about it, but it should be no problem at all, really. We'll just control from here and it'll be approximately the same as controlling from here. But I'm not too concerned. We're heading in. While I was doing the outro, I accelerated us towards the ISS. I think that the credits were rolling at that time, so that might not have actually been on camera. But we're heading in here, and we can just accelerate on up a little bit, warping on in. 3.2 meters per second is not very speedy, but we are headed in for now. So we're going to need to get our positioning correct, of course. We're 400 meters out right now. 300 meters, 200, 100 meters out. Looks like we want to just bypass it a little bit. So that's reasonably fine. Yeah, we can bypass it, get on this side, go up a little bit, and then line up for it. That'll be okay. So now I'm going to burn negative here, bringing us to a bit of a halt. Okay, we need to get a little bit further along on this, of course. There, that'll do. So we'll just kill rot, and now we need to head upwards. So we need to go like this. Overshooting where I want this angle to be a little bit, but this is probably reasonably fine. Somewhere around here or so. So we're going to accelerate up to about 0.5 meters per second. There we go. And then we'll use RCS to adjust that resulting vector. There we go. No problem at all. So now we need to get to a position where our center of mass, which is currently about right here, I think. Well, actually, we've got fuel, so it's probably more like here. We need to get to the point where our center of mass is approximately in line with this docking port. Approximately. It doesn't have to be perfect. So just a little bit further here. Beginning our braking operations now. Adjusting our vector a tiny amount. Okay, we'll call that good. So now I want to control from here. There we go. Things get a little bit wonky, no doubt about it. But let's point at target. We don't actually care about the orientation of this. It doesn't have any like solar panels or anything like that attached to it. So that's absolutely great. We're going to point at target like so. And we can definitely see that our angling is a little off. I want to go virtually up from here a little bit. So we're going to use RCS to do that. Just checking to make sure that this is... Nope, this is the wrong direction. I want to go the other way. We're just adjusting our angling here a little bit. So approximately like that. Trying to bring this to a halt. Okay, there we go. And now we want to go up this direction, right? Which functionally from here is either right or left, and I'm not sure which right now. Looks like left. Cool. So let's bring us up. 0.3 meters per second right now. We need to come pretty steadily up here. There's a fair amount of up that needs to happen. I'm going to give us a little bit more speed there. Not a lot, just a bit. Waiting for us to be approximately in line, which we are now. Killing relative speed. Okay. Cool. We need to go this way. Adjusting relative speed here. Things are inverted from what I'm expecting. Noted. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to bring this right on in. Again, we don't really care about the orientation. So we're going to push our way in, and let's just set our vector correctly. There we go. Our angle is unlikely to be perfect here, but we can certainly control from here. Set as target. Yeah, we're a little bit off here, but we can just roll the station over to point at target. There we go. And we can adjust our velocity towards that new target. And this will be absolutely fine. No problem at all. Phenomenal. So this should dock up without any real concerns. Docking forces take over, and there we are. We are docked. Now, Bill, I'm going to need you to EVA. We really don't need this strut to be here. So I'm going to put this back into... Well, actually, I want it back in here, now that I think about it. How are we doing on our rotation here? We do have a little bit of rotation built up. Okay. So, Bill, I want you to EVA for now. And I want you to let go, and we're going to head over this direction. With the idea being that we're going to park right on this ladder. Phenomenal. And what we're going to do here is, actually, I want to come up over here and grab this strut. Apparently, oh, we can reach it from here. Perfect. There we go. So we can store the strut in the science lab. There we go. And from here, I want to strut this right on in. I'm not anticipating this to move. So we can put this here. We can strut here. And then we can strut here. And then we can strut out over this direction. Phenomenal. That should be nice and solid. Now, of course, what we need to do is we need to put this docking adapter out over here. Now, this docking adapter is set up to have a docking port junior, and it's set up to have a large docking port. So what does this actually connect to? Because we're going to have to remember that we have a large docking port there. So I'm taking a quick look at the ISS configuration here. So we're currently looking at the Destiny lab, and then the PMA2 is actually going to go on the far side of the Harmony Node 2. And then that's going to connect to the IDA2. So we might actually just want to leave the PMA2 where it's at right now, and then have the Harmony Node 2 with this being a large docking port. When does the Harmony Node 2 get launched? That is something that we need to figure out here. So the assembly of the space shuttle here, the Harmony Node 2 is going to be launched significantly later. That said, I don't think that berthing position that the PMA2 is currently in, I don't think that that gets significantly used for anything other than this one storage event. Beyond that, I think it's completely unutilized. So that seems reasonably fine. I do want to potentially make our way out over here, so we're going to let go here and RCS on. I want to head out over this direction because there's a little bit of work that I want to do on specifically this here. What I want to do is I want to grab the rotate tool, snapping on, and I want to just make sure that it is inline like that. And that's it. That's all I want to do there. Beyond that, we can hop back into the station, which is currently the combined station and shuttle. And we can extend these back out, so the solar panel can go there. And we're just kind of shoving our Kerbal out of the way. That's fine. Okay. He needs to go back to the shuttle anyway, and he was pushed in this direction, so that's absolutely perfect. So at this point, I think that that is indeed what we're going to do. We're going to continue to temporarily store PMA2 here, and we are going to... Well, we can unstrut this, for sure. We can store that strut for the time being in the cockpit. That'll be fine. And then we can hop in. Which way do we need to go? This way. Perfect. So we can hop in there, and then we can release this and stow our arm. So that's absolutely fine. We can certainly do that and head on home. And then once our Harmony 2 module gets attached here, then we can put the PMA on, and the Harmony 2 module we're just going to need to remember to use on the port that will go, like, here, right? The one that doesn't attach to the mobile processing lab. That's going to need to be a Clampatron docking port. We'll have to remember that. We'll see if we succeed at it. Okay, for now, we're going to release this. We are done with this shuttle journey for the time being, and we can retract our arm here. We can set our target angle to 0. We can reset this target angle to 0. We can retract this arm. We can rotate this guy. Actually, this was at 0, which I think, is that his correct rotation for stowage? Let me check the hinge. No, we need it to be at 180 for stowage. Okay, so that's fine. We rotate that right on around, and then this guy goes to 180. Although we don't actually want to grab the arm here. The arm can be disengaged. So we're going to release, and we're going to disarm. Phenomenal. So now we're going to close our docking bay. I suppose that we can undeploy this hinge, although it really doesn't matter. So that's absolutely fine. We've got lots of fuel here. Let's go into orbital retrograde. And we'll see how this ends up going. Okay. This is a safe direction to burn. No problem there. And there's our... I was going to say Harmony module, but that is not the Harmony module. That is... Let's see. It was the Unity module. This is then the Destiny module. Fantastic. These names are very similar. Cool. And the station is, as we can tell, a lot more sturdy now. No doubt about that. But the PMA2 goes on the far side of the Harmony module, so we are going to wait on that one. Okay, let's make our way on out of here. We are burning retrograde, and we are going to head on back. So at this point, we just want to take our periapsis down to 70 kilometers. We should have plenty of Delta V to do a relatively controlled re-entry, although we don't exactly, for time purposes, care where we land. We could try to target the landing runway every time. That is a theoretical possibility, and eventually I'd probably get the hang of it. But it would take a lot longer to bring us down in that controlled manner than it would just to bring us down. So 78 kilometers is good for our periapsis for now. And let's head around to that periapsis. We are then going to add a maneuver here, and we're going to bring this guy right on down. We're going to be targeting a new periapsis of around 40 kilometers, as we have been. And because we know we're safe landing on land and in the sea, I don't really care. It looks like this is probably going to be a land landing, but Kerbal will rotate underneath us as we orbit around, so who knows? It could be a sea landing, it could be a land landing. We'll find out. I'm not too concerned, it's safe either way, so that'll be okay. We're going to head over to the node and warp on down. Phenomenal. So downward we go, and this is going to be about a 34-second burn as we drop our apoapsis and invert it on around. So that our periapsis becomes our new apoapsis. And we've got about another minute here. 40 seconds. 30. 20. 10. And 3, 2, 1, 0. Mark. And off we go. Phenomenal. We can physics warp this burn a bit. It's going to be a bit of a long one, so let's just make our way through it. There we go. And we're actually just fine for our periapsis here. We don't need anything else. So that's okay. We're going to go to horizontal velocity up. Although that is going to change as we drop. No doubt about that. And let's just warp on over. Once we hit atmosphere, we'll align. There we go. We're in atmosphere. And we're just going to rotate ourselves about like so-ish. Lining up with the instruments. There we go. All looks good. And we can physics warp our way through. We're just looking to glide for now and burn off as much speed as we can while remaining relatively high. We're going way too fast to maneuver at this point. We know that safe maneuvering speeds are like 400 or 500 meters per second. We know that we're not... Oh, we have not vented our fuel. That would help. This is not going to go well if we don't vent our fuel. So we vent our fuel on out. There we go. We do not require additional fuel from here. And we just need to have a, like, certain mass, like a certain center of mass, right? And a certain weight to lift ratio as well. This is designed to come in empty. So there we go. We're cruising on forward. We do not yet have any significant reduction in speed, but that is to be expected. We've burned through about a quarter of our height margin here on our periapsis, but overall this is looking pretty good. And downward we come. Fantastic. Now we're switching over into flight mode when things are a little bit easier to wrap my head around what's going on. When we're in the other camera angle, it's a little bit harder to see. That's for sure. So inward we go here, and you can see just walking to the horizon naturally ending up being slightly nose up from our prograde position. So that's fine. We are burning off quite a lot of speed now. And this thing has so much drag. It really does slow down a lot. And it looks like this is probably going to end up being a splashdown, I think. We might glide over this bit of water, though. We'll see. We do see land coming up over here. It doesn't matter either way. We're completely fine with a land landing or a water landing. They're just slightly different procedures. So sounds good. Looks like it is going to be land. Okay. That's completely fine. We would prefer that it be relatively flat land, of course. Okay. I'm going to take us out of physics warp for the time being. We're still going really fast, not slow enough to really arguably be ready to do any maneuvers. But I am going to put us on kill rot here, rather than holding at the horizontal velocity, because the horizontal velocity could easily change. As in, go 0 or negative. And that would be potentially problematic if we were holding horizontal velocity. I don't really want to land in these mountains, so I think that we should probably consider... Ooh, hang on. We're still going a little fast for this. I think we should consider nosing down here and losing some altitude. As I said, I don't want to land in the mountains. So we're now down to about 500 meters per second. And we're just going to continue to lose speed and altitude here. I want to nose down further. We're now at about 400 meters per second, and we're going to really start losing horizontal speed. Our vertical speed is holding relatively steady. It's actually going down slightly, so this is reasonably ideal. I want to dive basically down 45 degrees right now. I'm going to extend our landing gear, and I'm not going to have them on brake yet. We do see trees loading in down here, so we're going to have to pick our landing site. That's fine. We'll see where these trees end up being. We definitely don't want to land where we're pointing. We will, of course, nose up and do some gliding. Out over here is a potential landing strip. Okay. Potentially. I'm going to pull out of the dive and take us up... Ooh, hello. Take us up this direction. There we go. Approximately like that. And we do want to, now that we got that turn done, we do want to head down a bit. Ooh, that's picking up a lot of roll. Let's even that out. There we go. I'm going to use the chutes here to slow us down significantly, and I'm nosing up at this point. I don't want to go too much further, so I just want to slow us right on down. Cool. And we're nosing up, and we're angling for this corridor right here. There we go. Holding nose up. Ooh, that was a big bounce there. We ended up breaking our wings because of that bounce, but it's fine. The wings are pretty cheap. The rest of it stays, and that's all good. We're going to call that a successful landing. An awkward landing, yes, but a successful one. So that's definitely interesting there. I think that we still had a little bit too much vertical speed. I was hoping that the drogue chutes would even that one out. Unfortunately, it didn't. Losing the wings, though, like I said, is really not a big deal. We're actually pretty okay with losing the wings there. So let's head on back to the Space Center. Everything else in that is significantly more valuable. Yeah, we end up losing a little bit of our recovery there, but it's not the end of the world. And that basically is just indicative that we had a really big bounce on those back wheels, and the shock absorbers on them went really deep. That's what that means. So we probably need to fine-tune that approach a little bit and be a little bit, maybe a little bit less nose up there is what that indicates. Probably. That indicates that we needed to even out a little bit more. That's fine. So for now, we are going to get our 50K back. That's absolutely great. And I do also want to get our payment for that mission. So let's bump that right on in. Phenomenal. And from here, we can figure out what our next launch target is going to be. So we just put up the Destiny Laboratory. So next up is ESP-1. So external stowage platforms, huh? Interesting. So ESP-1 gets attached onto the Destiny lab. This is very low resolution, but apparently it's pointing at this, and then there's a PCFS to be added. Okay, that's exciting. Do we have like a better view of it? ESP-1 attached to the Destiny portside trunnion pin. So it just gets attached out over here. It's this guy. This guy gets added later, if I'm understanding this correctly. Fascinating. Okay, and looking at this, I think we're looking at right here. Oh, on the right. It's out over here. Okay, I see how it gets attached. So there's like a little bit that sticks out here, and then it just gets attached right on over there. And it's just like an external bolt-on storage capacity. Interesting. Okay. So yeah, it sticks out a little bit. There's a plate, and then it just gets slapped on top of it. And then has a couple of attach points. I mean, attach points just kind of exist in KSP. So basically, it was carried into orbit on the underside of an integrated cargo carrier. This was the only thing that they carried for ESP-1? Yeah, that's it. Wild, because this feels really small and like something that we could theoretically combine together with the Canadarm. Maybe there was like timing issues or something like that, but that is definitely remarkable to me. That they apparently lifted this on a dedicated space shuttle flight, STS-102 here. So its primary objectives were resupplying the ISS and rotating the Expedition 1 and 2 crews. That makes sense. So in this situation, then, this was a secondary mission. Gotcha. That does indeed make sense. Well, this does not seem very difficult to build. No doubt about that. Let's get that done really, really quickly here. We don't have time to launch it this episode, but honestly, we can certainly build this. Now, this is going to be attached by EVA. I think that's very, very clear. So let's just load up the Destiny lab here. Let's open up our cargo bay here. We don't actually need the Destiny lab, so we can ditch everything up here. And And then inside of here, we can have this target angle be at 90 degrees. There we go, just so we can work on this. And essentially what we're looking to put on here, and we're gonna have to kind of build this backwards. So what we're looking to put on here is going to be just like a cargo storage unit, like this one. And then we can attach that here, like that. And then on top of that, we're going to want like a structural plate. Like maybe this grip strip. I mean, I don't like this attach point, but we could potentially move it to be like up like this. I think that's maybe a little on the big side though. Like this way. Big this way. So do we have anything else for structural pads for that? We've got the 1x1 structural panel, which I think is a little too big. Yeah. We could go with like an I-beam. That's an interesting option there, actually. So the I-beam would go on top of like a hinge. So then we would have a robotic hinge here, and we might as well have it be motorized. We've learned from before. So we would grab our smallest hinge, and that guy would go here. Actually, it wouldn't though, would it? No, it would have to. So the hinge would go here. It would get rotated 90 degrees like so. The I-beam would then go like this. And then we'd have a second hinge, which would be for the creation, or rather for the addition of the second component of this. So that would be going this way. Then we would need this to be able to be attached to the station in some way. So this would actually need to be a micronode. So this would be one of these guys. We would not need the hinge there. The I-beam would go like this. We could potentially put another micronode up here instead of this hinge. Like that. And then this hinge would end up going almost like this. So this would be what we would attach to the station, right? And we built this in reverse order specifically so that we can easily move this onto the station. So the idea here would be that we have this hinge connect to the station here, connecting to the Destiny module. Then that goes into the Not Rockomax micronode, which has these attachments, which would have to be moved for our construction, but that's reasonably fine. And that's the entirety of what we bring in here. So if we have this stowed at 90 degrees, does that clip through? No, it does not. Okay, so that seems fine right there. That seems completely fine. That would be what we would bring up, and this was called the the ESP-1. Gotcha. ESP-2 is going to be a thing as well. Where does that end up going? Okay, it's basically the same thing, and it ends up connecting to the Quest Joint Airlock, which is connected to the Unity module. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to call this ESP-1, not 12, 1. There we go. But as I said, it's too late in the episode to launch this episode, so we're going to launch this up to the ISS next episode. This should be a pretty basic mission. Because this is a crew rotation, maybe we'll leave some people there to work in the lab. I don't know. We'll see. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings. And a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video. And as always, I will see you all next time.